The alpha's pheromones saturated the entire room, thick and suffocating. My glands began to burn, heat pulsing from deep within me as I was forced into my heat ahead of time. The ground beneath my feet seemed to vanish. Disoriented and weak, I collapsed hard onto the unforgiving floor, curling in on myself instinctively. I reached up, desperate to shield my glands, to keep them from soaking in any more of the alpha's overwhelming presence. But Raymond Taylor seized my wrist with a firm grip, yanking me up with such strength that I was pulled straight into his arms. I was too weak to resist, my limbs useless, breath shallow. All I could do was listen to the words he whispered against my ear, low, steady, inescapable. Why are you running? Welcome to History Channel. Subscribe to follow all our latest adventures. Story begins. I was the only Omega in my family, with 3 alpha older brothers who spoiled me to the heavens. Kenny Walker, why are you so small? Wanna go spar with your big brother in the boxing ring? I rested my chin on my hand, the word boxing new and exciting to me. I thought it was some kind of fun club where you played games with your fists. My eyes lit up with stars, and I nodded eagerly. Okay, brother. I was only 9 back then. My eldest brother was 20. He lifted me effortlessly by the waist and carried me into the boxing gym. The moment we stepped inside, I saw 2 men grappling with each other, blood on their faces. The sight terrified me. I buried myself in my brother's arms and shut my eyes tight. Whoa, you brought a kid in here? He got bullied at school. Time he learned how to protect himself, my brother said, tapping my nose with a grin. I cracked one eye open, curious about the stranger talking to my brother, someone I'd make sure to avoid in the future. Not wanting the stranger to know the truth, I quickly defended myself. No, I wasn't bullied. I fought back. Even though I had been completely soaked with their little water guns. My brother saw through me, ruffled my hair, then set me down. Okay, I believe you. Go play with the boy over there. Next to the stranger stood a boy about my height. His face was cold, just like my second brother's. I reached out to greet him. Hi. I'm Kenny Walker. His frosty expression made me nervous. I stumbled over my words, unsure how to even play with someone like him. I didn't want him to spray me with a water gun either, so I asked carefully, what's your name? He looked like he had only just noticed me, finally lifting his eyes to my face and then to my outstretched hand. Sorry, I didn't catch what you said. Could you repeat it? He asked. He was willing to talk to me. Even though his voice was cold, he wasn't nearly as bad as those kids who had drenched me. My guard dropped slightly. Hi again, I'm Kenny Walker. What about you? What's your name? I'm Raymond Taylor. That was the first time I met Raymond Taylor. He was 3 years older than me, but I never called him Big Brother. I just used his full name. Raymond Taylor listened patiently, one word at a time, as I stuttered through my sentence. I wondered if he was spacing out again. Can you look out for me? I wanted to use his cold, intimidating face to scare away the kids who bullied me. I needed someone who looked 100 times tougher than them, and Raymond Taylor was perfect. He didn't ask why. He just nodded. Okay. But he was so cool. But once I started talking, I couldn't stop. They have to walk me to and from school, and sleep next to me too. Raymond Taylor's brow furrowed so hard I shivered involuntarily. I bit my lip, hesitated for a long moment, then relented. Okay, maybe not the sleeping part. I'll walk you to school. I'll sleep next to you. But I have one condition. What condition? We never separate. It was Raymond Taylor who first broke that promise, never separate. A childish vow I believed in for 10 years. And in the end, he was the one who suggested we sleep in separate beds, because our pheromones matched too well. What did you just say? I grabbed the pillow off the bed and hurled it at his face. Then snatched up my phone and called my eldest brother. He picked up before the second ring. Fuming, I vented everything that had gone wrong. Big bro, your dear brother-in-law says he doesn't want me anymore. He wants to sleep in a different bed for a while. He promised when we were kids. He said we'd never separate. He's a liar. I'm moving abroad. I'm leaving this godforsaken place. Instead of backing me up, my brother laughed. He's not wrong. An unmarked omega constantly exposed to an alpha's pheromones isn't good for the body. And with your compatibility, the toll is even worse than usual. Your health will suffer sooner or later. Raymond Taylor snatched the phone from my hand, wrapped an arm around my waist, and held me in place so I couldn't take it back. Kenny Walker's fine, big bro, don't worry, he said before hanging up. Both our lives were at stake. When I saw Raymond Taylor's cold expression, I didn't dare move. I gently pried his fingers off my waist. When he didn't react, I boldly slipped out of his grasp and turned to leave the bed. Come back, he said. He didn't even move. What gave him the right? No backbone. I hated myself for being such a coward, mad, but helplessly so. Why do we have to sleep apart? I know Big Bro made a good point. But I don't want to. Then do you want me to mark you permanently? He asked, fingers brushing over my gland. That's painful. I don't want you to suffer like that, Kenny Walker. There was a kind of ache in Raymond Taylor's eyes I couldn't describe. He looked like he was genuinely worried about me. But I knew his heat was just around the corner. He didn't want to hurt me. He hadn't even marked me during intimacy, always holding himself back. You're too good, you know that? I muttered. Raymond Taylor chuckled. Where'd you learn that? I raised my hand into the air, forming half a heart. If you finish this heart with me, I'll tell you. His hand was bigger than mine, so no matter how we tried, the heart always looked a bit lopsided. So close. I laughed behind my hand. Realizing he'd never get it perfectly round, Raymond Taylor just pulled me into a tight hug. Then, with one finger, he traced a flawless heart over my chest. I love you. When those words hit my ear, I melted. I love you too, Raymond Taylor. I think I should have kept my mouth shut. I jinxed it. Raymond Taylor, it hurts. The alpha's pheromones flooded the room again. My glands burned as I was pushed into heat prematurely. My legs gave out. I collapsed onto the cold floor, curled into a trembling ball. I tried to shield my gland from soaking in more of his scent, but Raymond Taylor grabbed my hand and yanked me into his arms. I couldn't even struggle. All I could do was listen to him murmur into my ear. Why are you running? My pheromones kept leaking uncontrollably. In the middle of his heat, Raymond Taylor couldn't hear me anymore. No matter how much I said it hurt, he wasn't the gentle version of him I knew. In a half-asleep voice, he muttered, Kenny Walker, I'll protect you, forever, never let go. Thank God our high compatibility minimized the rejection reaction, or the pain would have been unbearable. I mumbled weakly, staring at his peacefully sleeping face. I wanted to punch it. Alpha canines really weren't to be underestimated. Even with bandages, I could still feel the warm trickles sliding down my neck from the bite. Raymond Taylor, you jerk. I tried to crawl away from the room, but he dragged me back, asking why I ran. If I didn't, I'd die. I quietly lifted the covers, trying to slip out of bed again. But no matter how I twisted, I couldn't even reach the phone on the nightstand. Even the tiniest movement I made was caught by Raymond Taylor, who was deep in sleep yet still in his heat. I quickly shut my eyes and placed my restless hand back at my side, lying perfectly still. Don't be scared, Kenny Walker. I'm sorry. He murmured, draping his arm across my stomach, pulling me closer into the warmth of his body. Come closer. I'm cold. Cold? His body felt like a furnace. If you ever lose me one day, I'll get my 3 older brothers to beat the hell out of you, I warned, poking his nose. You hear me? Raymond Taylor didn't respond. I wasn't sure if he was really asleep or just pretending. I grew impatient from the silence and pinched his nose, blocking his breath. Answer me. I beat up the bad guys for you. How could you threaten to have people beat me up? Raymond Taylor caught my hand and gently kissed my fingers. That's not the same. Promise me, tell me you'll love me forever and never go back on it. Raymond propped himself up on one elbow, turned around, and opened the drawer by the bed. He pulled out a small square box. I tilted my head, watching his every move. Boxes like that usually held rings or necklaces, precious things. My heart began to race. Was he going to give me a ring? My eldest brother once told me a ring symbolized eternal love. happiness for a lifetime. So I'd always treasured the idea, dreaming that one day Raymond Taylor would put one on my finger himself. But when he opened the box, what I saw inside wasn't a ring, it was a lollipop I had given him when we were little. I vaguely remembered that day. After I promised never to leave him, I'd gone to my brother and asked for a cola-flavored lollipop. This is for you. Think of it as a token of my promise, okay? It's my favorite flavor. Raymond had taken it back then, barely reacting, just a small smile. I thought he didn't care. He was known as the youngest, cool guy at the boxing gym, after all. I've kept your token safe all these years, Kenny Walker. I'll never leave you. I had asked him so many times why he agreed to my childish demands. He'd always brushed it off with something like, I was just really bored back then. Having someone around was kind of nice. But clearly, it wasn't that simple. Tell me the truth, did you have a crush on me even back then? Raymond shook his head. You were getting picked on. I just happened to know a bunch of self-defense moves. So it was just a sense of justice? But then why keep the lollipop all these years? Any normal kid would have eaten it right away. Wait, you don't like cola lollipops? I love them, he replied. But you said it was a token. I figured it meant never separate, so I kept it safe in the box. So, that's what he wanted to tell me. I want to remind you of the promise you made. As long as you don't go back on it, I never will. I'll always protect you, always sleep beside you, always love you, and stay with you for the rest of our lives. 22-year-old men really think differently from 19-year-old kids, huh? While I was busy fussing over whether he didn't like cola lollipops, he was already declaring forever love on repeat. My tears dropped onto the back of his hand. Who knew a free childhood lollipop could make someone cry like this? Could a Tsundra Omega really be loved by a cold-faced alpha? I pulled off the little plastic strip from the lollipop and twisted it into the shape of a ring. Then I placed it back into the box. Raymond Taylor, hurry up and put it on me. All right. It fit perfectly. I spread my fingers to admire it when Raymond pointed to the red plastic ring and tilted his head. What about mine? Eyes brimming with tears, I sniffled. You already have me, isn't that enough? Don't cry. I'm not crying, I said, wiping at my eyes haphazardly. But my watery eyes betrayed me. I wanted to dump a whole bottle of powder on my face just to pretend I hadn't cried at all. Raymond Taylor, knowing my pride, changed the subject. Hey, want to meet my parents tomorrow? After knowing Raymond for 10 years, I suddenly realized I'd never once asked about his family. He hadn't gone home once. He never mentioned them. I just assumed he was an orphan. And strangely, no one around me ever brought up his parents either. As if it were an unspoken rule. I'd avoided the topic for 10 years, afraid of hurting him. I do, but you're wondering why I've never left your side or gone home all these years, aren't you? I nodded slightly. You'll find out tomorrow. Can't you tell me now? I'll give you one answer. My parents are obsessed with honeymoons. That kind of made sense, but also didn't. Honeymoons? So they just ditched you? I asked, genuinely confused. Raymond shut his mouth tight. I pestered him for ages and only managed to get out a few words. I already gave you one answer. That's it. You can ask me one more in the morning. Fine, I sighed, wrapping myself in the blanket and going to sleep, still a little regretful. Maybe because I was so eager to hear more, I woke up earlier than usual, before Raymond even stirred. Normally, he'd finish making breakfast before waking me up. I shook him gently and fibbed, "It's already noon." That got him. Raymond shot upright, panic flashing across his face. He was way too disciplined to sleep past noon. What time is it? 7:30. But come on, just tell me now, please. He rubbed his temples, trying to wake up. Nope. You tricked me. One lie cancels out one truth. I pouted and crossed my arms. I didn't lie, you just heard it wrong. Or maybe you weren't planning to tell me anything at all. Raymond seemed to give up. He got out of bed, found my slippers, and slipped them on for me. Eat breakfast first. Let me figure out how to explain it. Ding dong. The doorbell rang at the worst possible time. But Raymond had just thrown me a rope. I couldn't keep arguing. Okay, I'll get the door. He shouldn't have. His parents showed up completely unannounced, and judging by the heavy AO pheromones lingering in the room, it was painfully obvious what had happened last night. Just yesterday, I'd agreed to meet them with a cheerful, okay. But I was hiding under the covers like a coward, dragging my feet, too embarrassed to step outside. I grabbed my phone and typed a desperate message. Raymond Taylor, why didn't you warn me? This is so awkward. I peeked through the crack in the door, waiting until he checked his phone. He didn't look flustered at all. He even smiled. A new message popped up on my phone. It's okay. They knew about you before I did. What? His parents knew me before he did? Oh God, did they know all the dumb things I did as a kid? Before I could process it, Raymond pulled me out of the room and shoved me into the living room. My brain hadn't caught up yet, but voices already reached my ears. So this is Kenny Walker. Looks just like Michael Walker, those sharp features with a gentle touch. It was Raymond's Omega father. I forced a polite smile, trying to look composed. But inside, I had no idea where to put my hands. Nice to meet you, uncles. I'm Kenny Walker. They stood up to welcome me warmly and helped me sit between them. Come sit. This sofa's soft, standing must be uncomfortable. Something about his tone felt loaded. My instincts screamed, look at Raymond Taylor. His face was flushed, and he even coughed once. Something wasn't right. And then came a voice from the other side. We've heard so much about you from Ray. But he never brought you to meet us. We only saw you a few times right after you were born. He's hidden you away like treasure. Raymond's alpha father stared him down. If we hadn't called last night, we probably wouldn't see Kenny Walker for another 10 years. Here is the English novel-style translation of your BL passage, with natural phrasing, emotional nuance, and consistent use of he throughout. I was completely lost. Last night, they even called him. I stared wide-eyed at Raymond Taylor, silently begging for a lifeline. You talk like we were the ones who ditched you to go on a honeymoon, he said, reaching over and guiding me to sit on another sofa. Oh come on, now that's just turning things upside down, his alpha father chimed in. Didn't you say you liked Kenny Walker first? And since your dad and I are old friends, I felt at ease letting you stay with him. Plus, you wanted to stick to him like glue. What could we do? So we just let you stay as long as you wanted. Figured you'd come back when you felt like it. Then he turned to me. But who could have known Kenny Walker would be so damn charming? Had you wrapped around his finger for 10 whole years? We called, and you still wouldn't come home. All we got was some nonsense like, I promised to stay by his side forever. Before he could finish, Raymond cut in, clearly losing patience. Arthur, Kenny Walker and I haven't even had breakfast yet. Have you two eaten? If not, maybe it's time you actually went on that honeymoon you're always talking about. So that's what this was. Raymond Taylor really was a liar. And to think he told me it was just because I'd been bullied, and he just happened to know a bit of self-defense? Liar. He wanted to stay. What a clumsy excuse. It fell apart in seconds. I let out a quiet laugh. No wonder he never told me why he stayed by my side all these years. He couldn't even keep a straight face when someone else brought it up. During breakfast, his dads kept piling food into my bowl. Hey, it's not your turn yet. One of them smacked Raymond's hand away when he tried to give me something. Honestly, it was the first time I'd seen Raymond look so defeated. Ever since I was 9 and asked him to protect me, he'd always worn that same icy expression, the classic cold-faced alpha. Just a frown from him and the kids who bullied me would scatter. That's how I made it through elementary school in peace. But this wasn't the watergun era anymore. Now, I had someone watching over me, not just scaring bullies, but standing by me always. At 9, I saw Raymond as my bodyguard. At 19, he was still my bodyguard, and my one and only alpha mate. Someone I shared a warm home with. Uncles, you guys go ahead and eat. I've got enough, I said. There was a pause in midair. I hadn't been looking up much, still a little shy, so I hadn't even noticed whose chopsticks they were. I haven't gotten a single bite in for you, and now you're stopping me when I was just about to succeed? Raymond said, chopsticks still hovering. Wait a second, was he whining? I looked at his chopsticks. Then at him. Then at my bowl, which was piled high like a mountain. Not even one piece? But whatever. Just one, okay? I won't be able to finish more. Fine. As soon as I said that, his dad started arguing again. Told you not to overload the bowl. So wasteful if he can't finish. You think you didn't overload it? Omega appetites are small, and you're stuffing him like he's your own kid. Oh please, like you're any better. Somehow, the blame eventually landed squarely on Raymond. It's all your son's fault. Yeah, Raymond Taylor's fault. Raymond twitched at the corner of his mouth, clearly too exhausted to fight back. Did either of you let me put food in his bowl? Shut up. Who said we didn't? Then stop putting food in it. I didn't. Not this time. Watching them, I finally understood. Raymond inherited his stubborn denial skills from his alpha dad. 80% of the food in my bowl came from that man. And every piece was bigger than the last. Alright, I won't argue with you anymore. Just finish eating and go back to your honeymoon already. What honeymoon? How much honey is there to moon? Stupid alpha old man, say that again and you can go moon yourself outside. Darling, I was wrong. Let's go moon the hell out of this honey, okay? My little sugar drop. Before I knew it, they were out the door, one of them still cooing sweet talk, the other not far behind. But their voices didn't fade. I started to worry they might actually be fighting. I peeked out the window, concerned. What are you thinking about? Raymond leaned in, following my gaze. Are they really arguing because of me? Nope. That's just how they are. They fight 800 times a day and still make up. My alpha dad lives to spoil people. Don't worry. By the time they get past the gate, they'll be cuddling again. But he wasn't kidding. Being an omega came with heightened sensitivity. It's just how we're built. Even though Raymond told me his parents fought like that all the time, that it had nothing to do with me, I still felt like I'd ruined their visit. Was this really how my first meeting with them was supposed to go? It felt bad. Just bad. Don't be sad. They really like you, Raymond said gently, using 2 fingers to lift the corners of my mouth. My dad messaged me just now. Wanna see? Yeah, I do. Promise you won't beat yourself up? I hesitated. Honestly, I couldn't even promise how I'd feel in 5 minutes. So moody, he sighed. I wasn't really beating myself up or heartbroken. Just disappointed. The first meeting with his parents had ended like that. No formal goodbye. Nothing. I told Raymond everything I was feeling. He didn't sugarcoat anything. Just grabbed his phone, opened WeChat, and showed me the message. Ray's dad. Tell Kenny Walker I'm sorry. It all happened so fast, I forgot to say goodbye. This was our first meeting. He must have been nervous. I could see it. He was so stiff sitting next to us. But on a day that important and not even a goodbye, he probably feels pretty bad. Don't let him stew in it. Don't be like your dad, always driving people crazy. You two better be good to each other. By the way, I saw the mark. Go easy next time. A mark? Ray, your dad really has no filter, I gasped as he slapped his hand over that last sentence, practically trying to cover my eyes too. Which just made me more embarrassed. My face heated instantly. I was sure it was redder than a watermelon. And the guy had the nerve to lean in and say, I promise I'll go easier next time. He should be arrested. And executed. How lucky are you? One Ray dad, one Ray husband. What are you, an apple-flavored alpha? Raymond propped his chin on his hand, smiling faintly. Yeah. Ding dong. The doorbell rang again. I couldn't tell if this one was a gift or a disaster. Raymond got up to answer it, but I had a bad feeling. Like whoever was behind that door was someone I knew too well. I'll get it, I said, patting his shoulder and nudging him to sit down. Kenny Walker. Open up, your second brother's back from overseas. He dropped by to see you. My eldest brother's voice echoed in my ears, and my mind went blank. Yesterday I'd been ranting to him about Raymond. And now he was about to see me, permanently marked by Raymond Taylor? This couldn't end well. He was the one who protected me most growing up, couldn't bear for me to get hurt even a little. If he saw my gland, would he fight Raymond Taylor? Then another thought popped into my head. There's no way he didn't already know. He must have seen it all coming. Here is your novel-style BL translation in English, keeping the tone warm, emotional, and natural, while preserving the he, pronouns, and subtle romantic tension. It's fine, just open the door. Raymond Taylor must have noticed how long I was standing there, frozen. He reached over and laid his hand gently over mine on the doorknob. Together, we pushed the door open. I kept my head down and started counting. Shit. All three of my alpha brothers were here. Only the eldest knew about me and Raymond, so his reaction was subtle, just a slight furrow of his brows. But the other two? Their faces completely cracked. Jaws dropped, mouths hanging open for what felt like forever. I'd progressed the fastest in the family. My eldest brother was still focused on building his career. No relationship, no kids, not even a steady partner. My second brother had just returned from studying abroad. And my third brother? He was about my age. But me? I not only fell in love early, I'd already been marked. Brothers, please don't be mad. My mind went blank. I panicked, fumbling through the moment without knowing what I was even doing. It took me a whole 30 minutes before I managed to pour tea for all three of them, hands trembling the entire time. Unlike Raymond's parents, my brothers didn't bother being discreet. They got straight to the point. Marking is a serious matter. Look at what you've done to Kenny Walker. My second brother's icy expression was on par with how Raymond used to look at me back when we first met. He reached out, trying to peel back the bandage on my neck to inspect the mark. Let me see. Does it hurt? But Raymond stopped him, hand intercepting his just as it neared my gland. We can't remove the bandage right now, it'll get infected. Well, maybe you shouldn't have bitten him in the first place. I shook my head. It's okay, second brother. The moment those words left my mouth, the room fell silent, uncomfortably so. Everyone fell into a tense stillness. I sat there, not knowing what to do. Second brother, are you okay? He narrowed his eyes at Raymond Taylor, his tone turning sharp. You look familiar. I started getting nervous. I was worried he might actually hit Raymond. Aren't you the guy who owns that boxing club? Raymond gave a small nod. It's under your family's name, isn't it? If I remember correctly, you're the only son of the Taylor family, and your alpha dad is close with ours. I watched Raymond carefully. If he nodded, then everything, the way we met, the things his parents said, would make perfect sense. I am, he said. There it was, confirmation from his own mouth. You're not some decent guy either. I flinched at the words, sure that my brother hated him. But then came the next sentence. And suddenly, everything made sense. I don't care what tricks you pulled to chase after Kenny Walker in the past. Now that he actually likes you, if you don't treat him right, the three of us won't let you off easy. You have my word, Raymond said firmly. I've always kept my promises. I would never hurt Kenny Walker. He's the only one I'll ever have in this lifetime. He looked more serious than I'd ever seen him. Could tell he meant it. Second brother scoffed. Whatever. I didn't come here for a love story. Kenny Walker's coming home with me today. You got a problem with that? Of course not. Raymond didn't dare say otherwise. He didn't even sit down. Getting interrogated by second brother was no joke. I knew that firsthand. That icy alpha demeanor was exactly why I developed a thing for cold, stern types. Which probably explained my fear when I first met Raymond. But when I realized he was like my brother, just blunt, not hostile, I let my guard down. I even introduced myself properly and hired him as my childhood bodyguard. After I got myself cleaned up and ready to leave, my three brothers froze in the hallway and gave Raymond a sidelong glance. Well, you coming or not? I couldn't help the little flutter of joy in my chest. So, they didn't hate him. Raymond had been washing dishes in the kitchen. He froze, likely too far away to hear. What? He called out. Second brother opened the door impatiently. Forget it, Tvan. I'm coming. Raymond shouted. We went home, together. For the first time, we returned to my house as a couple. And I hadn't expected this. Standing beside my eldest brother was a boy around my height. His face was cold, just like second brother's. Well, speak of the devil, my alpha father chuckled, looping his arm around mine as he introduced me to Raymond's parents. This is Kenny Walker, our family's little treasure. He didn't know we'd just seen each other 2 hours ago, and that they already knew I'd been marked. After the introduction, he turned to Raymond. Oh my Ray. I watched you grow up. Remember me? He seemed a little drunk, his words slightly slurred. Dad, when did you watch Raymond Taylor grow up? He grinned. Your Uncle Taylor and I go way back. When you were born, they were there too. This little guy, barely knew how to talk, kept yelling to hold you. Fate really is a funny thing. I glanced over at Raymond and laughed. He looked a little thrown off, like he'd never heard that story before. I didn't know about that. I raised an eyebrow and smiled. Guess I really did keep my promise to stay with you forever. Raymond smiled back. Mine. My dad was clearly tipsy. Still smiling, he turned to me again. Kenny Walker, don't you think you and Ray are a perfect match? I rubbed my nose to hide how flustered I felt. Then I heard Raymond mumble under his breath, we're a perfect match. I pulled his hand toward me, stood on my toes, and kissed his cheek. Dad, what do you think? Do we match? Perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. I hereby declare, wedding tomorrow. It started with a sneeze. A single, dramatic, backbending sneeze that came from Kenny Walker as he curled up under 2 blankets on the couch, glaring at his phone like it owed him money. You're sick, Raymond said, walking in from the kitchen with a mug of hot lemon water. I'm not, Kenny replied, voice raspy, nose pink. I'm emotionally allergic to this weather. You've said that 3 winters in a row. And I've been right every time. Raymond set the mug down on the coffee table, sat beside him, and reached out to touch his forehead. Kenny flinched. Don't. I look like Rudolph. You always look like Rudolph when you're sick. Still cute though. Kenny blinked. Then dramatically flopped over into Raymond's lap. You're so annoying, he mumbled into Raymond's hoodie. But also, keep talking. Raymond chuckled and stroked Kenny's hair. Do I get to say, I told you so now? No. You insisted on running around the grocery store in that stupid cropped jacket. It was fashion. It was pneumonia. Kenny groaned and burrowed deeper into Raymond's lap, soaking up the warmth. They stayed like that for a while, Raymond flipping through a cookbook one-handed, Kenny sniffling quietly while pretending not to enjoy the attention. Until Kenny peeked up with a suspicious look. You're being weirdly gentle today. I always take care of you when you're sick. No, usually you're annoying and try to force-feed me kale. That was once. You made me kale soup. I added bacon. You lied and said it was secret flavoring. Raymond bit back a smile. Okay, so maybe I'm trying a new approach. Kenny narrowed his eyes. New approach for what? Raymond closed the cookbook. I was thinking. Oh. I might ask your brothers for permission. Kenny froze. Permission for what? Marriage. Kenny sat up too fast, only to get dizzy and flop back down into the cushions. You're serious? Raymond's tone softened. I've been serious since you gave me that melted cola lollipop and called it a symbol of eternal love. I was 9. And I've been yours since then. Kenny went quiet. His ears turned red. He blinked fast. You want to marry me? I want to annoy you for the rest of your life. Kenny sniffled. That's so romantic. I try. Then Kenny grabbed a tissue, blew his nose like a trumpet, and looked up with wet eyes. You have terrible timing, you know that? Raymond laughed. You say that like it's news. Kenny wiped his nose again. But if you ask them, don't let second brother interrogate you. He nearly made you cry last time. I did not cry. You blinked really fast and said you had dust in your eyes. That wasn't fear. That was trauma. Kenny chuckled, then went quiet again. I'd marry you. If you asked. Raymond turned to him fully now, eyes gentle, voice steady. I know, but I still want to do it right. Ask properly. Plan it. You deserve that. Kenny reached for his hand and laced their fingers together. Just don't give me a kale bouquet. No promises. They sat like that for a while, tangled in warmth and lemon steam, and the soft ticking of the wall clock. Eventually, Kenny's breathing evened out. He dozed off, head resting on Raymond's shoulder. Raymond didn't move. Didn't even blink. He just looked down at Kenny, the boy he'd met with a water gun and a grumpy pout. Now curled up against him, still as stubborn, still as soft. He pressed a kiss to Kenny's temple. "My forever," he whispered, and meant every word. The end.
Thanks for stopping by. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos.